Greetings from North Dakota. This is a new format to me. I've never webcasted before, if that's the proper term. Please excuse the mustache. It is Mustache March at work. I have 7 days, 2 hours, and 53 minutes until I am rid of the soup strainer. So I want to zero in on the third question. What was the importance of religion in early America as a cohesive social bond? Now this question can branch out in quite a few different directions. Given the time constraints, I want to tackle one part that really stood out to me on page 44 of the Knoll text. It regarded the 1647 Old Deluder Act. Paraphrased into modern English, the bill required that every town of 50 families appoint an individual to teach children reading and writing. Additionally, towns of 100 families or more were required to establish a grammar school. These requirements were aimed to no longer keep individuals from the knowledge of the scriptures and to end scripture interpretation, as the Puritans at the time had said were corrupted with false glosses of saint-seeming deceivers, and to that end that learning may not be buried in the graves of our forefathers. One thing that really stands out to me is that jab at the culture they had left behind. Saint-seeming deceivers. This was an effort to proliferate the ability to read and interpret the text of the Bible, a discipline that their brethren in Europe often did not have the luxury of doing freely. As a Congregationalist society, this widespread educational initiative indiscriminately reached out to each family. When contrasted with the rigid, often immobile class system that the Puritans had left behind in 17th century Europe, the ambitious nature of this bill was impressive. Professor James Stillwagon of the Education Department at Iona College accurately reflected that the Old Deluder Act, its place as the foremost precursor to American educational policy. He highlights that school funding via property taxation has stood nearly unchallenged for 3.5 centuries of changes in the education system that we've witnessed. One other thing that the Puritans did in 1636 was found the nation's oldest college, Harvard University. This really highlighted the priorities of the New England Puritans. In contrast, William and Mary College in Virginia was founded nearly 60 years later in 1693. This is an example of the Congregationalist, localist nature of New England juxtaposed with the Virginia adventurer mindset focused on monetary gains and independence. By the end of the 17th century, the New England region was, as Knoll reflected, one of the world's most literate places. We only need to look at the unmatched progress America has made in its relatively short existence to appreciate the American education system. I believe it is a fair assessment to say that each of us, in some way, shape, or form, have benefited from the precedent set by the Massachusetts government in 1647. And thank you for your time. God bless.